welcome. Didn't meet you yet. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Good stuff. So, have a seat. Welcome. Do you have a mic on you or no? I guess. Chuck one. There you go.
Thank you.
Tell us about this website. What was really cool about this site, which I really found interesting, is where we have our, everyone knows, I think, we have our civic elections coming up less than 2 months. In fact, you have a ticker. There it is. 57 days from now, every municipality in British Columbia is about to vote. And it's really confusing to find out who's running, what their issues are. And when I stumbled across your website, I thought, this is genius. And so I wanted to have an opportunity for you to share how you could be really playing a big role in this municipal election.
Well, we appreciate the invite to be here today. Just a very brief history.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our company is a new company. The company itself is called CivicVote Marketing, and we're a full-service marketing company. And we want to assist and support business, small, medium-sized business, and the other group is government. And the reason for government is my background in particular has been working in government. That's been my career. And for the last number of years, I've been managing communications departments for different municipalities for the work that I've been involved with. And that includes a whole range of different communication things, working closely with mayor and council and that type of thing. In 2005, I got involved a little bit with the local elections in the community I was working in. And then in 2008, I wanted to step it up quite a bit. So what I did is I met with our legislative person, chief elections officer, and I said, what can we do to drive better awareness about our local elections? Because a lot of people will insist it's the local government that they really have closest touch to. Yeah. It's much easier to get a hold of the mayor than it is the prime minister. Yet the numbers don't reflect that really in terms of their activity at the polls.
So you mean the participation levels? Yeah, and they are quite low because provincially or federally it's about 55, 60%, whereas locally it can be in a by-election 5%. In the city of Coquitlam was 5% of eligible voters came out for an election. Yeah. And typically it's what, about 25%?
Yeah, it's just under 30%, basically. So it's very low. And it's from the senior level down, it just continually gets low. And so they say it, when they're getting at levels at 60 and 50%, we're getting into a crisis,
Wow.
in terms of the senior levels of government. And then you look at the local government and say, what happens there?
Right.
So when we started up our company, one of the things we wanted to do was look at some special projects. How can we support and help communities out? And one of the activities, or one of the ideas that came to our minds right away was the election. Mm-hmm. And just by coincidence, Hugh, who's a print media specialist and creative genius, that type of thing, he actually assisted us in the 2008 program. And in the 2008 program, what we decided to do there, by the way, is we roped in a number of municipalities in the Lower Mainland. We just gathered them together and we said, look, there's got to be a better way to at least drive awareness about these elections. Right. And so the way we decided to do that, we wanted to take a multi-formatted approach in terms of using the different mediums that were available, but in large part we just concentrated on print media, to be quite honest. So there were banners, we also did radio advertising, so we had a radio campaign going on in the Lower Mainland.
And it was nonpartisan, it was just to drive awareness to the vote.
Yeah.
But this looks a little different, not that it's partisan, but you're certainly highlighting the individual politicians in each city all across or all around British Columbia.
Right. So and that's what we want to do with this project. So when we started putting this project together, we said we got to step it up some more. And then we thought as we're not with government at this point, of course, and we're arm's length and all. Let's do it province-wide. And let's incorporate some of the modern technology. Because in government, it is still a difficult task in some places to make that happen. You think it might happen. It doesn't happen that easy all the time. So we've taken it upon ourselves to put together a program, and we have a number of excited associates that have joined us to make this happen. So basically, maybe Hugh, he can help us go through this a little bit. But we started, the history of this, by the way, is we just started with some ideas, some thumbnail descriptions, and then I went out and we talked to a number of local politicians and candidates from the last election. And we asked them, based on this concept, do you think that this would be worthwhile? Would it be needed? And they said, absolutely. I wish we had this like a long time ago. So the direction of this particular site is to help three different parties, basically. It's to help the general electorate, the general public. It's also to help the candidates. Well, we'll just concentrate on those two. So we wanted to get information that's consolidated, centralized. every time we have a local election for myself, I get home, there's a super box, mailbox, and somebody in our neighborhood puts a garbage can under there. I open up my mailbox and all the pink and blue and green flyers and everything
all fall out.
I look in the garbage can's half full with all these flyers that have been arriving. So we want to complement that. We're not going to get rid of that medium at all. So what we've done here is we've preloaded a whole bunch of information on this website based on the regions. So if we go to BC municipalities, for example, Hugh, so as you can see, all the different communities, all the municipalities are loaded onto this site. And if we just click onto one, so you can just drill down a little bit here. Click on any community, I guess, and we can show them what it can.
So it's divided by region, and then each city has their own file.
We used the existing sort of databases that are available, and are sort of common, at least in the government circles, in terms of, you start with the region and then work down to your basic community and stuff like this. So on the community here, what we've done is we've put in some slides that represent candidates that would run for mayor and candidates for council. Now, there are no people on there other than 2 people that found out in advance, like yourself, and said, hey, can we get on this site? Because we're actually going to launch probably later this evening. So it's not really officially up yet. But the idea is that when those who are running for mayor, for example, they will register on the site. So can we go to the registration? Over to the right there, Hugh. So they will register up at the top there, yeah. And then there's just a sort of a standard registration. But some of the stuff, again, is it's by default. And so they enter it in their name. As soon as they enter out their address, it registers what region they're in. It also determines what the cost will be. So we decided at this point, in terms of launching this new project, we'd go with a variable price model. So on the right, you can see we've done it according to the size of community. In our focus groups, it was interesting because some of the politicians actually wanted something they had thought it would cost a lot more for what they're going to get out of this site. And you'll see some of the features.
Well, let me just ask you, though, because, as we call it, a barrier to entry is someone paying that, how wide, how complete will your site be if there's candidates who, A, don't know you, and B, don't wish to pay? Is that going to skew the results of what your site will be trying to do?
Well, what we tried to do is we had to have some type of revenue model on this because all this, of course, we've invested in it out of our own pockets to make it happen. And so what we decided to do, one of our approaches on this, was to make this a low-cost project or low-cost service for candidates and a no-cost service for the public. So.
Gotcha.
And I'll explain later why candidates at some point may be more compelled to join this.
Right.
So they'll fill all this in, and then they end up with their, they can upload some stuff like their photo and their biography information, platform information, and we've automated all that so that it all sits into like a candidate sheet. Mm-hmm. And then from there, they can also have printed material, there's posters, online posters and stuff. So we've really put a lot of features into this thing yet.
What I liked about it, though, there was a section somewhere on there where you can compare the candidates. How will that work?
So when you have on one of those city pages, so you have the list of all the mayors that could be running, mm-hmm. and as well as the council members. And we also have the same thing for school board trustees, as well as regional district representatives. So, and there's a button on each of these pages that allows people to go on and they can compare candidates right here on the right. So they can, and what it'll do is it calls up the candidates and it puts their platform up. So it's much easier. It gets rid of the total need of all the green and yellow and blue sheets and everything else. And the beauty of this is it's real time. So some municipalities, for example, and one of the areas I worked in, we really wanted to do this. We're going to print up all the candidate information, compile it in a manual sort of thing, and we're going to send it out to all the households. And it's a big process, a very expensive process.
Right.
And this process doesn't cost a nickel for the taxpayers. It's all, they don't pay anything for it, and it's real time. So candidates, as their platforms change, and they can change, they can go back and adjust all that versus the sort of paper medium. It's there, it might sit there for a day and we get rid of it, or the information is stale early. This can be kept.
How else are you connecting into social media in terms of, can people share information on their Facebook pages, sent out by Twitter? Or is there like a town hall type setting? What are some of the other features of your site?
Some of the features we put in here are, and we have it on our own site as well, but doing the whole thing like the tweet and or Twitter accounts and the YouTube and Facebook and all that. We also offer that for the candidates. So if they have that themselves, they can link directly to that. And it's not an additional cost or anything. We're going to try and encourage them to take advantage of the social media. Some of the candidates, and I've met many, they aren't all that comfortable with that.
Right.
And this is the part of us trying to support candidates. I'm quite aware of candidates that would like to be leaders in our various communities, and they're a bit intimidated. They aren't sure how to start, and they don't know how to put all this together. So that's the other beauty of this site. We're trying to bring all the things together. So it makes it a much more even playing field for all the candidates. So they sort of have a similar look and feel on this site, but they have the options to reach out and integrate all this other.
You're kind of like the Facebook of civic elections. They have a basic template,
right?
But their colors and that sort of thing are in there. Well, what have you heard? What sort of feedback have you had so far? Because 57 days to go, you're just about to launch. Not a lot of time to attract, the hundreds of cities that we have here and all the candidates. So how are you going to get the word out on this?
Well, we've had a couple focus groups that have helped develop this. So first of all, the candidates themselves and existing politicians have been involved. And so we've done some surveying around the province. So they've given us feedback, said, this is what we think should go into the site. So we've done that. Then we went back just recently and said, well, here's, based on what you've told us, this is what we think might work. What do you think? And it's been all very positive information and feedback. We really thought there's going to be some roadblocks along the way, but they've all been quite encouraging. And then in terms of getting the information out, we have completed databases. So we have a list of all the existing sitting politicians in the province, and all the municipalities and all the school board trustees and that type of thing. So we're about to do an email blast and some other stuff out to those folks just to let them know. But that's only about a third of the candidates that will be in this election. So the other thing we're going to be doing, and we're hoping that it could be today, we've been working with a major media group, and we have a couple of major media groups that actually want to work with us on this. So we're just finalizing some details. So you're likely going to see it in the mainstream media very shortly, up until the election.
What I like about it is it puts all the information in one place, because if anyone's tried to find information on your municipal candidates, some don't even have a website, some don't have any information. So this kind of puts it there. And I like the comparing and the sharing features. And I hope it goes well. If it goes well, will we see this at the provincial and federal levels, do you think?
Well, we have been keeping some of the provincial folks informed about this. We just think it's a good thing to do. And I have to tell you, one or two of the people right away, they said, well, this isn't our jurisdiction. We don't do the election, the local folks. But I said, well, let's just explain it and let's walk. And then they stopped and they went, well, hey, this is kind of interesting. Can this be, would this be used? Could it be used at the provincial level? It could be. So, that's other ground maybe.
Well, I like the fact that you can compare and share and rate the candidates as well. Tell me about the rating. Is it just a simple 1 through 5 scale, or how will that work?
Yeah, it's just basically a button, and it's not meant to be a scientific poll or anything. It's
really?
Just,
online polls are not scientific?
None of that stuff. So weird. It's just a matter of individuals who want to say, I like this candidate.
But it goes back to that influencing, that if I say I like, say, Mayor Greg Moore in Port Coquitlam, and I tweet that out or share that with my friends, that's the influencing factor, and hopefully they come and support my candidate. That's somewhat the goal of your site, is it not?
Yeah, it is. We want to keep it all going and integrated and everything else. One of the things I want to mention just on that thing about picking your favorite politician or whatever, the tools that we have on here are what we would consider somewhat basic based on the feedback we got from the politicians themselves, because we got a pocket full of other stuff. Like, it's just amazing all the different ideas that have come out, and there was no way we could integrate all this in this particular version. So we're excited about the future, because there's all kinds of different things that are, some of this is already kind of new for at least the local election scene, and I think even for the senior level election scene. But some of the other stuff that we have in our little toolkit sitting there is going to be very exciting in the future if we're able to get that.
And where do people find your site? What's the URL?
It's if you go to bc.CivicVote.ca, that's where you're going to find that. So,
awesome. Let me ask if there are any questions from our audience. Yeah, if you just yell it out, because our mics suck. That's interesting. So translation in terms of, especially enrichment to different dialects of Chinese, for example. That's interesting.
Yeah, we had talked about that in the beginning, and we have an associate's helping us with all the back room work on this and everything else. And unfortunately, we couldn't do a whole lot of things that we wanted to do. We've done a lot, but to do it further, we just didn't have the resources, basically, in different ways to do all that. It's not that we didn't think about that, it's on our list. And so this is something that we're going to be looking at in our future versions type thing.
Great question. Any other questions? But guys, thank you very much. I find this really fascinating. I know it's just getting started, and I know I freaked you guys out when I kind of came across it and hacked it. No, I didn't came across it. But I think it's a really important tool, and I can really see it being used. And the only because I know you're here to hear my suggestions on things as well. I think the only thing, as I brought up earlier, would just be the barrier to entry. I think you'll find some candidates will not put forward the money, even a nominal sum. And if I hope that the day will come that barrier is removed and you're able to find a revenue source in a different way. Because to have a site that has all the candidates on it, uninhibited by a price to get in, I think would be really amazing for all of us as citizens. But you know what? This is an awesome first start. And I thank both you, Gary, and you, Hugh, for coming out. And check out bc.civicvote.ca.
Yeah,
great. Thank you so much for coming, guys. Appreciate it. That was awesome. Thank you so much.